Sir, am I audible now?
Avneet, your voice is breaking.
Sir, now audible?
Yes, now you're audible. Okay.
Sir, with your kind permission, can we start, sir?
Yes, we can start.
Good evening to everyone present here. I, Avneet Kaur, volunteer of Sambhav Initiative and moderator for this event. On behalf of organizing committee, I extend a warm welcome to our esteemed dignitary, Mr. Aviral Saxena, sir, and to all the participants in this 2 weeks online national capacity building program on art of contract drafting from fundamental to enforcement, organized by Sambhav Initiative, which is working towards alternative dispute resolution, free legal aid, mental health, and creating legal literacy under the direction and guidance of Patron in Chief of Sambhav Initiative, Honorable Justice C.K. Thakur sir, former Judge of Supreme Court of India, and Patron of Sambhav Initiative, Honorable Justice M.R. Shah sir, former Judge of Supreme Court of India, in collaboration with Pro Bono India, which is working towards legal aid and legal literacy. Where today's session is all about freelancing in contracts and career opportunities. It is our privilege to have with us and introduce Mr. Aviral Saxena, sir. Sir is a New Delhi based advocate on record, practicing before Honorable Supreme Court of India and other forums like Delhi High Court, NCLAT, NCLT, NCDRC, etc. Having 13 plus years of experience in litigation, his career is a remarkable journey that highlights dedication, versatility, and expertise. Sir is an alumnus of National Law University, Bhopal, and pursued LLM in cyber law from GGSIPU, New Delhi. Sir practices in constitutional, commercial, and criminal laws. Sir has represented Government of India, state governments, and various corporations, and has multiple publications and reported judgments to his credit. His in depth understanding of legal principles, combined with the passion for advocating for the rights of his clients, has established Sir as a prominent figure in the legal community. Sir is not only an immaculate advocate, but Sir never misses an opportunity to interact with the budding lawyers and provide his valuable insight. We are deeply honored to have you with us today, sir. Over to you, sir.
Well, a very good evening to all of you. It's always a pleasure to talk to the budding lawyers. And I'm so grateful to Sambhav Initiative and Pro Bono India for having me here again to speak something which is very exciting, very new, and which is very good for the newcomers and entry level lawyers. So, and again, my apology for having joined you late because, the MacBook is very technical. So I have to take my help from my colleague Vishal, who's sitting with me. So
That's okay, sir.
basically, I understand that there are law students also, there are lawyers, and there are people who may not be very comfortable with the technical jargon. So I have prepared a very simple PPT, a very short PPT, which will explain the concept, the advantages, and how one can enhance the practice, especially when somebody is not having, uh, let's say, uh, a grandpa in the profession or is not having connections in the profession. So I'm going to explain everything, and hopefully it should be convincing to you all people, right? So I'm going to close my camera and draw your attention to the PPT which I have prepared for you people, right? Uh, so yeah, in this, okay. So basically, the topic that has been given to me is all about the concept of freelancing and how it is helpful in contracts and what kind of opportunities it offers to the lawyers. So basically, you see, traditionally we have been seeing two conventional options, like you're joining a litigation and you're practicing before the high courts, before the Supreme Court, before the tribunals. And the other option is that you join a corporate law firm and you draw a handsome salary and all. But now, with the advancements in the technology, and we see that the Indian legal sector is booming like anything. We recently saw how the English lawyers now have been allowed to practice in India. So because of this
ever advancing and booming legal sector, we are experiencing a third option, and which is the legal gig economy. I mean, in other words, the freelancing, where you simply carry out the client's specific work as an independent contractor and not as a full-time employee. Basically, having the advantage of flexibility, having the advantage of times, having the advantage of the kind of work that you want to do. Indian legal market is as I said, is growing like anything, and therefore there'll be a lot of commercial disputes. A lot of commercial disputes. That means you'll be requiring a lot of lawyers. Now, not everybody gets to work under a senior advocate. Not everybody gets to work in a law firm. So basically, my suggestions are for those who want to practice independently without having a prior training, or maybe because of the financial compulsions that they might have. They have seen people that they want to earn on the very first day after graduation. So these suggestions are in those contexts, right? So we all know that India is very much a global player when it comes to legal process outsourcing. By legal process outsourcing, I mean that there are a lot of work, project-based work, that gets outsourced to India from other countries. For example, especially the Commonwealth countries, we are a common law jurisdiction, especially countries like UK, Australia, Canada. So why is this the right time to go for freelancing? Recently, I met a law graduate. He was a graduate from one of the universities in Delhi, NCR. And I keep meeting that man. So one day he called me and he told me that, sir, I have earned about 20,000 rupees. So I said, I congratulate him, man. This is by your first earning. But how did you manage this amount? What did you do? Did you appear before the court? He smiled and he told me that, sir, I basically drafted a legal notice and I got this amount in lieu of that drafting. So I was very happy that a first generation lawyer was started earning on his own without any help from his because he never had somebody in the profession. So I was very happy. So basically, with the upgradation of technology, freelancing is now flourishing. And because of the flourishing of this option, it has now opened up considerable possibilities. For example, a lawyer who's sitting in Gurgaon can do wonders, can take up assignments from other countries and mint money. A lot of people tell me that it is not easy to develop a freelancing practice. I certainly don't agree with it. In fact, I want to narrate my experience when I came to Delhi way back in 2013. I was a briefs lawyer, and certainly who would trust a young lawyer in a court like Supreme Court? So what I used to do was that I used to draft counter affidavits. I had informed my colleagues, and those colleagues in turn have informed their seniors that there's a young lawyer from National Law University who's very keen on drafting counter affidavits. And for every counter affidavit, I used to get about 1,500 rupees. I'm talking about 2013. This is how I started work in the courts. And because of the drafting, a lot of people accepted me to brief also about the case. And this is how, after the drafting part, I was given opportunity to brief the councils also. So major advantages is of freelancing is to enhance your skills. I mean, you're exposed to a lot of variety, which in turn broadens your skills. I mean, sometimes you work on cyber laws, sometimes you work on intellectual property, sometimes work on capital markets. So this gives you multiple options, which in turn broadens your skills. Then there is a flexibility. I mean, new lawyers, of course, I understand that they have constraints and they cannot have offices. They can always work from their homes. They can always work from their PG hostels. They can always work from their rented accommodations. So it gives a flexibility, because what matters is your work in the place from where you're operating. The other thing is the networking opportunities that it offers. I mean, when I started drafting for lawyers, I made a lot of good friends. Even now, still they are friends with me. And it is those connections which actually got me work in Delhi. I'm basically from Lucknow. I hail from Uttar Pradesh. And I hardly knew anybody in Delhi when I entered the Delhi scenario. So when you start working, you make a lot of friends. You develop a network, and that network actually helps you in getting work. Then, of course, income part, which I'm sure will interest a lot of people. See, I have seen that people, when they have spent considerable time in the profession, they may not have the time to draft things. So usually they do have associates, juniors to take care of drafting part. But there are also some advocates who, in order to meet the deadlines, prefer delegating it to other lawyers. So the fact is that you can have work from different corners of the country actually helps in generating additional income. Then finally, which I think is a need of the hour, is that it maintains work-life balance, which unfortunately is not the case with the regular practitioners. I mean, when there was a COVID, I found certain lawyers working from Nainital, from say Srinagar. So the requirement that you have to sit, you have to spend time, you have to stay away from the family, because lawyers don't have a social life, family life. At least this is the case with me. So it actually helps you in maintaining the proper work-life balance. Now, people will ask, I think it's just, yes. I'm sorry. Now the people will ask, who are actually freelancers? So I was going through a website where I found that most of the individuals are very young. They are mostly under 35. And majority have just undergraduate degrees. Not many people are postgraduates. So I found one thing in common in all these people is that they want to start earning money very early. They might have their own reasons, family reasons, professional reasons. But one thing that I found was that they're very keen on having the incomes, and they want to be independent as soon as possible. Now, how do we succeed when you talk about freelancing? So basically, I think I could only figure out 3 or 4 points. The first is your legal drafting. I mean, your drafting has to be very clear, very precise, and coupled with the latest case laws. I mean, I can tell you about my experience, because drafting is one thing which shows your understanding of law. It shows how clear you are regarding the matter. So that's one thing. So it could be anything. It could be your contracts, your pleadings, your legal notices. I mean, it could be everything. Now, when you're talking about drafting part, your drafting needs to be very detailed. When I say precise, at times you have to draft in detailed manner. Because when you draft in detail, you're actually trying to explain, say, clauses. You also have to be very analytical, like you're anticipating the legal consequences of your word that you're using it in your draft. If you're not very clear and there's a vagueness, then actually you're inviting future disputes. I recently, one of the juniors, I had given him some assignment. It was some research, and I was quite surprised that he was able to complete the assignment within an hour. It was quite a complex problem, quite a complex proposition that I had given to him. I found him using so-called AI tools. Now, as a lawyer, I'm supposed to be techno-savvy, but I'm sorry, I have no shame in accepting the fact that I'm not very techno-savvy. So basically that junior, that associate actually explained to me. And I found that these AI tools are actually very helpful. Though they're not, when it comes to content part, not very resourceful, not very, I would say, you can rely before courts like Delhi High Court and Supreme Court. But yes, it gives you a fair idea about the problem. For example, I, while discussing with my junior, I found these very popular AI tools like Law Simple, which is, I think it's gives you a draft, like ready-made drafts. Then there's Manu Patra, very popular, Kanun AI, Legal Quest, which is all about legal research and case analysis. It gives you a fair idea about the cases that you can possibly rely for your problem. Then there's Raw's Intelligence, which is again takes care of your documentation part. It also detects possible errors. Then there is Suvas, which is judicial document translation. It helps in the translation part. Then finally, we have the LawFi AI legal aid chat box. I've not used this, but I will definitely use this. This is basically for those who may not be the law graduates, but then it actually gives a fair idea if somebody wants to know anything about the legal topic or legal subject. So these tools could be very handy when you intending to do some freelancing. Now, as I said, that it has become very lucrative. So I have given a rough idea, as you can see from the page, where lawyers can actually earn good money. For example, a lawyer who is well versed with the technology can end up earning up to 50 lakhs. I don't say that you'll start earning immediately. It will take some time, but it has a potential, and you can always earn up to 50 lakhs. Then in freelancing, of course, jack of all, master of none is not going to work. So endeavor should be that you specialize in one arena or the other. For example, I've seen a lot of lawyers who are doing good work in IP, intellectual property sector. The lawyers who exclusively do work on intellectual property, and they also put money involved in it. Then this is a chart which I prepared right from the entry-level lawyer, starting his career to becoming a senior litigator. This is a normal scenario. In for example, when you join, you earn about 3.75 lakhs. You spend some time in the field, you start earning on 6 lakhs. Then if you're working in an LPO, the billing is on the hourly basis. Independent lawyers earning about 35 lakhs. Now, at times, there might be a question that in freelancing, how do you promote yourself? And because the Bar Council of India rules are very strict, very stringent when it comes to advertising or soliciting work. So let's say, for example, Rule 36 talks about lawyers not engaging in solicitation or advertisements. So, of course, the consequences are that if you're found violating it, there might be warnings, suspension, or license cancellation. So how do we proceed with rules in place? If you want to promote yourself, then probably you can have a professional website with simple, basic content details. For example, a basic website which says that gives a brief introduction about yourself, about the work we have done so far. Secondly, you can have a profile on platforms like LinkedIn where you talk about legal developments. You can also get your articles published, your blogs, to share your experiences. Now, what you cannot do possibly is you cannot display client testimonials or personally contact people. The next heading, which I think is critical for young lawyers, is that how you intend to get successful. Why taking independent assignments? Very first thing is that you have to be, or you say you need to be specialized in one of the areas, whatever areas. It could be IP, it could be civil laws, it could be capital markets, it could be criminal law. You should have a hold of your subject. Secondly, you should work on your drafting and research skills. I mean, there's SCC, Westlaw, Manupatra. There's so many tools available, and it should be accurate. It should be well equipped to use such tools in your drafting part. Ultimately, it is the drafting part which is going to introduce you to the outer world. The third thing, which I think now has become important, is AI tools. As I discussed earlier, you should have a judicious use of such tools. But I would also say that you should not completely rely on AI tools, because it then makes you dependent, and that novelty, that the originality will not be there in your draft. So you can take help of AI tools, but do not completely rely. Then you should also have a BCI compliant online presence. As I said, you can have a very decent website with a disclaimer, which in a way is giving basic details about yourself. Then if you have overseas clients or outstation clients, it's always important and advisable to have an agreement. Then comes the networking part. As I said, it is the network that you develop gradually which is going to feed you with the work. So you should network and network when you're not working, right? And of course, the finances part, you should invest on yourself. For example, there are a lot of good courses, a lot of good trainings that are going around by the institutes. So you must invest in yourself. Keep yourself updated. Finally, you should always have someone who can guide you. I don't say that you, by mentor, I mean you to work consistently under some senior. But at least you should have somebody whom you can discuss your problems, who can always guide you. Then I have now people say that your topic says that how the freelancing is actually helping in contracts. I came across a young advocate and was based in Bangalore. And he was also, of course, in his first year of practice. He told me that whenever there are IT professionals coming from other states to Bangalore, he's actually drafting the rental agreements. So this is one instance where lawyers can make money. So there are different types of contracts. For example, employment contracts, where actually they define the terms of employment between the employer and the employee. There are service agreements, which is all about outlining the services provided by a service provider to the client. Then lease agreements, which again, as I said, is all about terms of renting property. Partnership agreements, again, the terms in a business partnership. Non-disclosure agreements, again, protecting the confidential information shared between the parties. A licensing agreement, where permission to use intellectual property involved. So these are types of the contracts which one can do and make money. Now, people often ask the problems in freelancing. The very first major problem, I think, is to find clients and developing a clientele. So developing a clientele is a major problem, which a lot of people face. Then I said, the second major problem which I feel is lack of professional connections. So for new advocate without a legal background, these problems are again even bigger, because when they don't have connections, they don't have work. Of course, some people get impaneled with departments, corporate houses. So I'm not leaving those segments, but I'm talking about those who do not have the professional connections. The third problem, which I think everybody feels, is the financial stability. I mean, we all know that there are a lot of uncertainties. Sometimes you have work, sometimes you don't have work, sometimes you're weedless and simply roaming around in the court's corridor. So our law practice is basically a business, I would say. You need both the service delivery engine to do the legal work and a business development engine to find clients. Now, as I said, that whenever you clients are in some other country or in some other states, it is always advisable to have a freelance service agreement. It is basically a legal shield that protects you, that prevents misunderstanding if things go wrong. So in a strong freelance contract, there are certain elements that needs to be kept in mind. The very first thing is details about the parties involved in it. I mean, it must be clearly stated as to who the clients are and where are you placed. Second important element is the scope of work. I mean, it should define what needs to be done. Because then when there is a scope of work defined, then there's a red line which will not cross. Third important element is about the deadlines and the payment structure. It should be very clear that payment structure, is it going to be on an hourly basis? Is it going to be a fixed fee? It is going to be on the basis of assignments. I mean, there should be clarity on this, because I think there are a lot of disputes on these aspects. The other element, which is most important and which will give you credibility, is the confidentiality. There should be a clause to protect the sensitive information, and which in a way help you delivering your professional duty. So in concluding remarks, I would only say that a dynamic workforce and the technology tools are giving you an unprecedented opportunity. This was not the case when we were about to enter the profession. Now is the time. So idea is to change the mindset, mastering your craft, and I believe things would be quite easy for lawyers, right? I hope I've kept it short and understandable. Avneet?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, thank you. And now we open the floor for question and answers. Whosoever have any questions, you can raise your hand or you can write your question in the chat box.
If this short of time, I have my mail ID out here. It's aviral@avicaloffices.in. If people have some questions, they want to know things in detail, then I'll be happy to answer them over mail.
Sure, sir.
And I'm always happy to have budding lawyers. And if somebody wants to intern, then I'll be happy to have them in my chamber for internships.
Thank you so much, sir. And also, sir, and on the behalf of organizing committee, sir, I would like to extend our sincere gratitude to you, sir, for delivering such an insightful and thoughtful session today. We are truly thankful to you, sir, not only for accepting our invitation, but also for taking time to guide and inspire all the participants. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.